Questions for Coach L?
Hey, Jim, can you sort of open up talking just your general thoughts on the team, you know, how they look so far with the season a week and a half away?
Our number one priority has two elements to it. It was defense and rebounding. I think we've made some progress, but we added some things today that will probably be one step forward, three steps back. So we'll see how it impacts us. But we have an exhibition game on Wednesday, and it's a very different kind of an opponent because they run and shoot threes all the time. They press and trap, and we don't face a lot of teams like that. So it'll be good for us to see if we can convert defensively and actually guard a team that's going to launch from three regularly. You know, if we score 80 points on Wednesday, we'll probably lose by 20. If we score 100, that would be more in line with what I think we have to be prepared for. Offensively, there's two things we have to do as well. One, we got to quit turning the ball over. We're a team that has some carryover from last year in terms of high risk and low reward. But I think we can be very good at playing fast and not turning the ball over. I think we can. But that will be the challenge. And then the next part is we really need balance in our offense. We have to have our big guys score. I don't want them, at the end of a game, we look at it as if we're going to try to average, let's say, 75 points a game, each position has to average 15. So if one guy starts and averages 10 and the guy who backs him up averages 5, then we're going to be pretty good at that position. But if one of the big guys averages 6 and the guy who comes in for him averages 4, we'll only get 10 points. That won't be the balance that we really need so that our opponent has to worry about everybody at every position. One of the things about defensive strategies is if you only have to concern yourself about one thing, you can probably do a good job of executing. But if you have to worry about multiple things, it's a lot more challenging.
Jim, did you have a discussion with Daquan after the second suspension last year, even this offseason, saying it's important you show maturity that this not happen again? Was he responsive to that? And can you realistically improve a guy's assist-to-turnover ratio, you know, after 3 years of having similar numbers for each?
Okay, the first part of your question is my staff and I talk to him every day. And to his teammates as well. We're constantly trying to send messages to the players about the importance of being a well-rounded and smart and well-behaved student athlete. But I don't know how you were at 18 to 22 years old. I will not talk about how I was because I think there's a tendency for kids at that age to make mistakes on the court, off the court. And it's our job as coaches to educate them, teach them, mentor them. And I think my staff has done a good job. And Jaquan, quite frankly, I think has done a good job in part. But he's also had to deal with some issues, health issues in his life that are challenging. But his on-the-court assist-to-turnover ratio is one of our primary priorities because when he's really good handling the ball, Bruce Brown is really good handling the ball, and DJ and Lonnie Walker and Chris Likes are really handling the ball, we're going to be very good. If we're turning the ball over and giving the other team an opportunity to score before we can defend them, then we're not going to be as good as we'd like to be.
Can you talk about, for the people that are going to see the freshmen for the first time, what are people going to see from your freshmen, each one of them? What do they bring?
Wow.
The wow
I mean,
factor.
yeah, just, I mean, I've watched a lot of basketball in my lifetime, but these guys are fun to watch. I mean, you will see Wednesday night. I mean, it's a treat. They're fun to coach. They're fun to be around. They're hard as heck to guard. They play really hard defensively. Or let me put it this way, they should play really hard defensively because they're very capable. But I think the fans are in for a real treat.
Jim, with the NCAA allowing teams to have the one extra exhibition game for charity relief, is that something that you guys ever explored? Or?
Yeah, we discussed it. We talked to a team, but one of the things about that is you're trying to raise money. So you got to have somebody that has some attention grabbing that the fans in a very short period of time would turn out to watch it. And we just couldn't find that kind of opponent because it's expensive.
How has Lonnie come back from his surgery?
I would say the first thing is he's such a wonderful young man and such a hard worker that his progress was consistently good, and the only thing that slowed him down was the hurricane, where he didn't have 100% attention to detail with our trainer because they weren't together. But even when he was gone, he was trying to work on it. Since he's come back, he has shown consistent improvement in learning what we want offensively and defensively. But he hasn't competed for more than like a week at full go. So I don't know, what's today, the 30th? Yeah, I would say right around sometime between the 16th and 22nd is when he was really cleared to go full out. And we didn't put him in every drill then. We just put him in like a third of the drills so that he could start to get himself back in shape. But now he looks like he's ready to handle a little bit more.
What are you expecting from him, like on Wednesday? What do you think he'll be able to go out there and be ready yet, or no?
My guess when the lights go on, he's going to play.
Jim, obviously Bruce had such an incredible season last year. What's the next step for him? What do you want to see from him in his development this season?
Well, there were areas of his game that we identified and worked on during the summer, and even now he continues. One is his ability to attack the basket and make layups, sometimes very challenged layups, but the ability to make tough layups in traffic. And then also just develop his three-point shooting to a greater extent. Last year at this time, he was making, we have a drill called 5 minutes of threes, he was making 32. Sometimes 38. This year he's making like 58. So he's really improved his three-point proficiency, and we don't want him to become, just a one-dimensional three-point shooter, but we do want to encourage him that if he's open, not to hesitate, because he's pretty darn good at it now.
He said something at the ACC Media Day about some stat that he was really bad off the dribble last season, one of the worst in the country or something.
Oh, was he?
Do you know what he was talking about?
Yeah. I read the article, and I don't recall the specifics of the article, other than I think as a team, we were one of the worst teams in the country in terms of effective field goal percentage, meaning twos and threes off the bounce. And I'm sure he feels somewhat responsible because he's one of those guys, but it's not just him, it was our team. And we were very good on catch and shoot shots. Well, our two best shooters were DJ and Davon, and they took all the catch and shoots because Jaquan and Bruce drove and took shots off the dribble. Shots off the dribble are a little bit harder. You add another element of difficulty to it. And But that's not going to be that much of a factor this year. And the reason I say that is we've got so many more weapons. If you look at who we lost, who shot threes, you have Davon Reed. Kamari Murphy did not shoot threes. We've added now Chris Likes, who shoots threes, Lonnie Walker shoots threes, Sam Wardenberg, who shoots threes. Jaquan Newton is shooting it better, and so is Bruce Brown. So that's like 5 guys who are more than likely going to shoot more catch and shoot shots than they were last year, because they're going to be more confident in their ability to make that shot than they were last season.
Couple more questions.
Jim, what can you say, or what are you willing to say at this point about your starting lineup? What's resolved in your mind and what's unresolved?
Well, at this point in time, we're in the progression stage. We're trying to make progress with a lot of different elements. And so the easiest thing for me to do is play the most experienced guys to start the game. So on Wednesday, we'll start Jaquan, Bruce, DJ, Amp, Anthony Lawrence Jr., and DeJuan Ewell. I think those are the guys that had the most playing experience from last season. And they play very well together. And then we have 3 freshmen. Chris Likes, Lonnie Walker, and Sam Wardenberg will come in and off the bench with Abuka Zundu and Rodney Miller. But we will only play 10 guys throughout the season, and we're going to redshirt Dan Gak and Miles Wilson is a transfer, so he has to sit out.
Can you further explain why to redshirt Dang? And then also with Rodney Miller last year, did you consider redshirting him, or in hindsight?
The answer is yes to all of those. We consider every possibility, but you know how many guys we had on scholarship last year? Bet you don't know.
Did it go down to 9? I don't know.
9. We only had 9 guys, and Rodney was one of those 9. If we had gone to 8, you know, I would have a hard time sleeping at night. Well, actually, I did have a hard time sleeping at night many nights. This year, we feel like Dang has the potential to be a much improved player a year from now if he has a chance to just concentrate on his skill level and his strength, because he came in at nearly 7 feet tall and 194 pounds. So if we can get him up to 215 or 220 by next year, you know, he could be a fantastic rookie. So we just want to concentrate on what's best for him in terms of his progress as a player. Because he'd be behind DeJuan and Booker and Rodney.
Sam.
Oh yeah, and Sam. Yeah, I don't actually see those guys the same, but.
Last question. See guys like Davon and Kamari last year, captains. How do you see the leadership changing this year with guys like Bruce and Jaquan? How their qualities are kind of different leading this team to wherever?
Yeah, it's an interesting question and a concern because Davon and Kamari were such fantastic leaders, the most consistent workers. Their defense in practice, in games, in drills, everything was at the highest level I've ever coached. Davon was all-league defense, and I thought Kamari Murphy was the best defensive player in the league. We don't have anybody who's stepped up to that level quite yet, but I see some signs indicating that we will. And sometimes leadership can come from just setting the right example. Right now, we have 6 guys on our team that I consider leaders. Not that the other guys are not. It's just that I've identified them as guys we need. The first is Jaquan Newton, who's a senior. The second is Chris Stoll, who's also a senior. Chris Stoll is the smartest guy in the room whenever he's in the room. And so we rely on him a lot. I think the guys on the team really like him, admire him, and respect him because of that intelligence and his willingness to sacrifice for the team. And so you listen to a guy like that. We want and are hoping Anthony Lawrence will start to take on more of a leadership role, because if he does, it'll probably help him on the court as well. Not just off the court, but on the court, talking on defense, handling the ball more and better, being more aggressive, more confident. But the three sophomores, actually, I could add Rodney to it, but right now you can't have too many. Bruce Brown, DJ Vasiljevic, and Dewan Ewell, I've asked to take on more of a leadership role. So you might notice, if you pay attention to when the referees bring the captains to midcourt, we're going to be alternating. One game it'll be our upperclassmen of Jaquan Newton, Anthony Lawrence, and Chris Stoll, and then the next game it'll be Bruce Brown, DJ Vasiljevic, and Dewan Ewell. Because I think for us to be successful, those personalities, there's not just one guy that can do everything. And we've always looked at it as, if you can get a team captain with a couple of co-captains to help them, then you got a chance to have great leadership. So might be Angel Rodriguez, Sheldon McCullen, Tanya Jakiri, and Davon Reed. They all had different personalities, different roles on the team, and all had different leadership styles. In 2013, we had Shane Larkin, Duran Scott, Julian Gamble. All a little different personality, but all very, very necessary leaders for us to be as good as we could be.
Jim, how clear of an image do you have as to what this team will look like in March, if it's the way you want it to be?
That I think we're physically capable. It's far more challenging to do it on a consistent basis, but we'd like to be in the top 25 in the country and top 2 or 3 in the league in defensive efficiency and offensive efficiency. And we think we have a chance to do that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.